The moment I realized my own son had driven away and left me to freeze to death in that cabin, my hands started shaking, not from the cold, though it was already seeping through the walls, from the betrayal, from the thought that the boy I raised, the man I'd saved from burning buildings metaphorically and literally throughout his life, had just sentenced me to die alone in the Montana wilderness. My name is Thomas. I'm 67 years old, a retired firefighter from Portland, and I never thought I'd be fighting for my life against my own flesh and blood. But here we are. Let me back up. I need to tell you how I got here, because the warning signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. After my wife Ellen passed 3 years ago from cancer, my son David became attentive in a way he'd never been before. Suddenly, he was calling every week, visiting every month, asking about my health, my finances, my plans. I thought grief had finally matured him. I thought losing his mother had made him realize how precious family is. I was a fool. David had always been my challenge. Ellen used to joke that he got my stubbornness without my discipline. He dropped out of college twice, changed careers 5 times, burned through 3 marriages by age 38. But he was my son, my only child. And I kept helping him because that's what fathers do, right? We don't give up. Last year, he called me on a Tuesday evening. I remember because I was watching the Blazers game. He sounded different, stressed. Dad, I need to borrow $20,000. Not the first time. I'd lent him money before. Down payments, business investments that never materialized, emergencies that somehow kept happening. What for this time, David? I got into some trouble. Poker game. These guys, they're not the kind you say no to. My stomach dropped. Gambling debts. The one thing Ellen had always feared. David, I can't keep doing this. Dad, please, they'll hurt me. I gave him the money. Pulled it from my retirement savings, Ellen's life insurance. The money we'd set aside for our golden years that she never got to see. 2 months later, he needed $15,000 more. Then 10. Then another 25. I finally said no in September. He didn't take it well. Didn't speak to me for 6 weeks. Then in early November, he called again. Different tone this time. Warm, apologetic. Dad, I'm sorry. I've been going to Gamblers Anonymous. Got a sponsor. I'm getting help. That's good, David. I'm proud of you. I want to make it up to you. You've always talked about wanting to go hunting in Montana like you did with Grandpa. I rented us a cabin. Father-son trip. Just us. No phones. Like the old days. I should have been suspicious. David had never wanted to spend time in the wilderness. He was a city kid through and through. But I wanted to believe him. I wanted my son back. When? I asked. December 10th. Week-long trip. I'll drive. You just pack warm. December 10th arrived cold and gray. David picked me up in his truck at 5 in the morning. We drove 12 hours into northwestern Montana, the roads getting narrower, the civilization getting sparser. He was cheerful the whole drive. Told me stories about his AA meetings, about the new job he'd landed, about turning his life around. I believed every word. The cabin was exactly as remote as advertised. 40 miles from the nearest town, another 15 down a dirt road that was barely visible under the early snow. No cell service, no internet. Just us, the woods, and a wood-burning stove that David had assured me was well stocked with firewood. We arrived just before sunset on day 1. The cabin was small but solid. 1 room with 2 beds, a kitchen area, bathroom with a well pump. Picturesque, really. The kind of place Ellen would have loved. This is perfect, I told David as we unloaded. Really thoughtful, son. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I noticed, but didn't process it. Not yet. That night, we ate the steaks he'd brought, drank whiskey, told stories. It felt like healing, like we were finally connecting the way we should have years ago. I went to bed happy, hopeful. I woke up the next morning to silence. David? I called out. No answer. His bed was made. Military corners. David had never made a bed properly in his life. I walked outside. The truck was gone. Fresh tire tracks in the snow led down the driveway and disappeared into the trees. On the kitchen table, I found a note. The handwriting was David's. The words made my blood freeze colder than the December air. Dad, I'm sorry. I can't pay them back. The only way out is the life insurance. They'll find you in spring. It'll look natural. I do love you. I'm just not strong enough. Forgive me. I read it 3 times. Then I walked to the door and tried it. Locked from outside. Heavy deadbolt I'd noticed last night but thought nothing of. Windows. I tried them all. Nailed shut. Recently, from the look of the fresh wood. Phone. I'd left it in Portland, per David's request for an authentic experience. Food. I checked the cabinets. Empty. Every single one. The refrigerator unplugged and empty. Firewood. The shed he'd pointed out last night. I could see it through the window. Padlocked. The temperature inside the cabin was already dropping. Outside, fresh snow was beginning to fall. The weather report before we left had called for a major storm. 3 to 4 feet expected over the next week. David had planned this perfectly. He'd brought me to a place where I'd die slowly of cold and hunger, where my body wouldn't be found until spring thaw, where it would look like a tragic accident. An old man who went to the mountains and got caught in a storm. The life insurance policy. I'd taken it out 10 years ago. $2 million. David was the sole beneficiary. I sat down on the bed. My hands were shaking again. Not from cold this time. From rage. 32 years I'd spent running into burning buildings. I'd saved 17 lives over my career. Pulled people from wreckage, from flames, from smoke so thick you couldn't see your own hands. I'd survived a roof collapse in '98 that killed 2 of my crew. I'd beaten cancer myself just 5 years ago. And this is how I was going to die? Abandoned by my own son in a cabin in Montana? No. I stood up. Training kicked in. When you're in a burning building, you don't panic. You assess, you adapt, you survive. Assessment. Locked in. No food, no heat, no phone. Temperature dropping. Storm coming. Assets. I still had my overnight bag. David had let me bring that. I emptied it. 2 changes of clothes, toiletries, my medication, a book, my wallet with $83. The cabin itself. I searched methodically. Kitchen drawers, under beds, bathroom cabinet. In the back of a closet, I found a camping hatchet, small but sharp, left behind by a previous renter maybe. In the bathroom, behind the toilet, I found something else. A radio. Old, battery-powered, dusty. Someone had stashed it there and forgotten it. My hands were shaking as I tried the power button. Nothing. I checked the battery compartment. Corroded. But the radio itself looked intact. In my toiletries bag, I had a small Swiss Army knife. I used it to clean the battery contacts. Then I took the batteries from my electric toothbrush. Wrong size. But I could make them work with some aluminum foil from a wrapper I found in the trash can. 15 minutes of jury rigging later, the radio crackled to life. Static. Lots of static. I turned the dial slowly. More static. A snippet of music. More static. Then, faint but clear, a voice. Glacier County Emergency Services. If you can hear this transmission, we monitor Channel 9 for emergencies. Repeat. This is Glacier County Emergency Services. My throat tightened. I found Channel 9. Pressed the transmit button. Hello? Can anyone hear me? This is an emergency. I'm trapped in a cabin. Hello? Static. I tried again. This is Thomas Callahan. I'm locked in a cabin approximately 40 miles west of Chester. I have no heat, no food. There's a storm coming. Please, if anyone can hear this. Static. Then, a woman's voice. Faint. Professional. This is Ranger Martinez with Montana Fish and Wildlife. I'm reading you faintly. Please repeat your location. I could have cried. Instead, I keyed the mic again. Thomas Callahan. I'm in a rental cabin. I don't know the exact address. Approximately 40 miles west of Chester, then 15 miles down a dirt road heading north. Red cabin. Metal roof. Copy that. Are you injured? No. But I'm locked inside. No heat. No food. My son. He left me here. There's a storm coming. A pause. Longer than comfortable. Then, Mr. Callahan, I'm picking up your signal, but it's very weak. I'm about an hour out from Chester right now. This storm is going to hit hard tonight. I can't reach you before it does. My hope deflated, but I can talk you through surviving until I can get to you. Can you do that? Yes, I can do that. Good. First, what's your heat situation? I explained. Wood stove, but no wood. No way to get to the shed. What about furniture? Books? Anything that burns? I looked around. A wooden chair, a small bookshelf, the book I'd brought. There's some furniture. Start burning it. Controlled. Small pieces at a time. You need to make it last. Do you have water? Bathroom has a well pump. Good. Stay hydrated. Your body needs water to regulate temperature. What are you wearing? Jeans, flannel shirt, wool sweater, boots. Layer everything you have. When you sleep, pile all the clothes on top of you. Don't take your boots off. If your feet freeze, you're done. Understood. What's your name? Thomas. Thomas. I'm Maria. I'm going to get you out of this. But you need to stay alive for 48 hours. Can you do that? I was a firefighter for 32 years, Maria. I can do 48 hours. I heard something like a smile in her voice. Good. Because I'm coming for you. I'm going to radio every hour. You respond so I know you're alive. Understood? Understood. That first night was hell. I broke apart the wooden chair and fed it piece by piece into the wood stove. It burned fast. Too fast. By midnight, I'd gone through the chair and started on the bookshelf. The storm hit around 2 in the morning. Wind that sounded like freight trains. Snow so thick I couldn't see 3 feet past the windows. Maria radioed at 3. Thomas, you there? Still here. How's the fire? Running out of things to burn. Door. Can you break down the door? I'd tried. It's solid. Dead-bolted from outside. And I don't have tools. Hatchet, you mentioned. Can you chop through the wall? I looked at the log walls. 12-inch logs, stacked tight. Not with a camping hatchet. Damn. Okay. Windows? Nailed shut. Another pause. Then, Thomas, I need to tell you something. I can't get to you until this storm clears. Weather Service says minimum 48 hours, possibly 72. 3 days. I had maybe 6 hours of burnable furniture left. I'll make it work, I said. There's something else. I ran your name. Thomas Callahan, Portland, Oregon. Retired firefighter. That's me. Your son is David Callahan? My jaw clenched. Yes. I'm looking at a missing person report filed this morning. Filed by your son. Says you went on a solo hunting trip and he's worried you're lost in the storm. I laughed. Bitter. He's good. I'll give him that. Thomas. What happened? I told her. All of it. The gambling debts, the money, the note, the locked cabin. She was quiet for a long time. Then, my ex-husband did something similar. Different method. Same idea. I survived. Got justice. You will too. You understand why I have to make it out alive. I do. And Thomas? I'm personally making sure you do. This isn't just a rescue anymore. This is me making sure that son of a bitch doesn't get away with it. Something about her voice. The controlled fury. I believed her. Over the next 48 hours, Maria talked me through survival. I burned every piece of furniture except the bed I was sleeping in. I melted snow for water. I ate toothpaste for calories. I did jumping jacks every hour to keep blood moving. She told me about her life. Divorced. 2 kids who lived with their father. She'd become a ranger after her husband tried to kill her with carbon monoxide in their garage. She'd noticed the smell, figured it out, escaped. He went to prison. She rebuilt. You're stronger than you know, Thomas. Your son thinks you're just a weak old man waiting to die. Prove him wrong. On the 3rd night, the storm broke. Maria radioed at dawn. I'm coming. Hold on. 6 hours later, I heard the sound of a snowmobile engine. I was at the window when she pulled up. Small woman, 55 maybe, Hispanic, hard eyes. She took one look at the padlocked woodshed, the nailed windows, and her expression went dark. Stand back, she called. She used bolt cutters on the shed padlock, kicked in the door. The cabin door came down with a battery-powered saw she'd brought. When she stepped inside, I was standing by the remnants of my fire. I'd burned everything. The cabin was a shell. Thomas? Maria? We stared at each other for a moment. Then she pulled out a thermos of coffee and a sandwich. Eat first, then we talk. The coffee was perfect. The sandwich was the best thing I'd ever tasted. I need you to do something, Maria said after I'd eaten. I need you to not call anyone yet. Not the police, not your son. Why? She pulled out her phone, showed me photos she'd taken. The padlock, the nailed windows, the door deadbolt, the empty cabin. Because I want him to think he got away with it. I want him to think you're dead, and then I want to watch his face when you show up alive. You could have called this in already. I could have. But Thomas, I've seen how this goes. Rich kid with a lawyer? He'll say it was an accident. Say the locks were there when he rented it. Say you must have locked yourself in somehow. He'll walk. She pulled out something else. A small camera. I want a confession. I want him on video, admitting what he did. Will you help me get it? I thought about my son. The boy I'd raised. The man who'd left me to die. Tell me your plan. We worked it out over the next hour. Maria would report finding me alive but disoriented. Hypothermic. She'd take me to the hospital in Chester. They'd keep me overnight for observation. She'd notify David that I'd been found. David would drive up. He'd have to maintain the appearance of the worried son. And when he arrived at my hospital room, I'd be wearing a wire. He'll confess, I said. When he thinks I'm dying, when he thinks I'm too weak to have told anyone, he'll want to explain, to ease his conscience. Exactly. It worked better than we could have hoped. David arrived at Chester Medical Center at 8 that evening. He came into my room with tears in his eyes. Oscar-worthy performance. Dad, thank God. I was so worried. I was in the hospital bed, hooked up to IVs, wrapped in warming blankets. The doctor had said I was lucky to be alive. Moderate hypothermia, severe dehydration. But I'd survived. David, I whispered. He took my hand. I'm so sorry, Dad. I shouldn't have let you go alone. I should have gone with you. You did go with me. His hand twitched. What? I remember now. You were there. You drove me. Dad, you're confused. The hypothermia. You went alone. No. I looked right at him. You drove me to the cabin. You locked me in. You left me to die. His face went pale. He glanced at the door. It was closed. He thought we were alone. He didn't know Maria was outside, recording through the window. He didn't know the hospital security guard at the door was actually Montana State Police. Dad, you're not thinking clearly. I found your note, David. The only way out is the life insurance. He pulled his hand away, stood up, paced to the window. When he turned back, the mask had slipped. How are you alive? You should be. The storm was supposed to last 4 days. Long enough for me to freeze to death? It wasn't supposed to be like this. I didn't want to. But Dad, I owe $300,000. These people, they'll kill me. The insurance was the only way. So you decided to kill me instead. You're old. You're alone. Ellen's gone. You don't have anything to live for anymore. I'm young. I have my whole life ahead of me. I raised you. I loved you. I gave you everything. And it was never enough, he shouted it. Nothing I did was ever good enough for you. You wanted me to be like you, hero firefighter. I'm not you, Dad. I'm not strong enough to be you. So you became a murderer instead. He laughed, broken, bitter. You know what's funny? I was actually going to do it. I was going to let you die. But then the guilt started eating at me. I almost turned around 6 times on the drive back. Almost came back for you. But you didn't. But I didn't. Because I'm weak, just like you always said. The door opened. 2 state police officers stepped in, Maria behind them, phone in hand. David's face when he saw them. I'll remember that expression for the rest of my life. David Callahan, you're under arrest for attempted murder. He didn't fight, didn't run, just stood there as they cuffed him, as they read him his rights. As they led him past me, he stopped, looked at me. I'm sorry, Dad. I know you are, son. I know you are. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom and watched my son plead guilty to attempted first-degree murder. His lawyer had advised a plea deal. 20 years with possibility of parole in 12. The prosecutor was Maria's cousin. The judge was a former firefighter. David never stood a chance. Before sentencing, I was allowed to make a statement. I stood up, looked at my son in his orange jumpsuit. I loved you, David. I would have done anything for you. But I couldn't make you strong. I couldn't make you good. Those were choices only you could make. And you chose wrong. I hope someday you find the strength to become the man your mother believed you could be. But that's your journey now, not mine. The judge sentenced him to 23 years. No parole for 18. After the trial, Maria and I went to a diner in Chester. Same place she'd taken me that first night after the rescue. "How are you doing?" she asked. "I don't know. He's my son. I should feel something. Grief. Loss. But all I feel is angry." "That's normal. It'll fade. Eventually." "You still angry at your ex?" She smiled. "Not anymore. Took 10 years, but I got there." We sat in comfortable silence for a while. "What will you do now?" she asked. "I don't know. I sold the house. Couldn't stay in Portland. Too many memories. I was thinking about Montana, actually." "Yeah? Know anyone who could teach an old firefighter to be a wilderness survival instructor?" She laughed. "I might know someone. That was 8 months ago. I'm living in Chester now. Small apartment. Simple life. I work part-time with Maria's wilderness program, teaching teenagers survival skills. Teaching them that when things go wrong, you don't panic. You assess, you adapt, you survive. I visited David once in prison. He didn't want to see me. I left a letter anyway. I told him I forgave him, even if I couldn't understand him. I told him to use his time to become someone better. I don't know if he read it. Maria and I have dinner every Friday. We talk about our weeks. She tells me about the kids in her program. I tell her about mine. Sometimes we talk about the people who tried to kill us. Sometimes we don't. Last month, on what would have been Ellen's 65th birthday, Maria and I drove out to the cabin. It's abandoned now. The rental company went bankrupt. Nobody wants to rent a place where someone almost died. We stood outside, looking at the boarded-up windows. "You saved my life," I said. "You saved your own life, Thomas. I just showed up with bolt cutters." Still, she squeezed my shoulder. Still, we drove back to Chester as the sun was setting. The mountains turned gold, then purple, then dark. I'm 68 now. I've lost a wife to cancer and a son to greed. I've been left to die in the wilderness by my own flesh and blood. I've burned furniture to stay alive and eaten toothpaste for calories. And somehow, I'm more at peace than I've been in years. Because I learned something in that cabin. I learned that you can survive anything if you refuse to give up. I learned that family isn't always blood. I learned that sometimes the people who save you are the ones you meet in the middle of your worst nightmare. If you take anything from my story, take this. Trust your instincts. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't make excuses. Don't enable. Don't sacrifice yourself trying to save people who don't want to be saved. And if you find yourself locked in a cabin, freezing, abandoned, with nothing but a camping hatchet and a broken radio, remember, you're stronger than you know. You've survived every bad day you've ever had. You can survive this one too. I did. And if an old firefighter with a murdering son can come out the other side and find a new life, so can you. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you never need to use the lessons I learned, but if you do, remember, assess, adapt, survive, and find yourself a friend like Maria. Those are the people worth keeping.